I think I'm going to talk about the way that we can operate this stuff in Harkn for a bit now. That a way of engaging and listening to people in a different way than they will be used to and that the organizations will be used to. So this is the sort of the model, if you like, for innovation or moving fast, fixing things and building trust with Harkn. Priorities, right? So step one, not rocket science this, but be clear about what you're trying to achieve as an organization and integrate your listening programs with those goals, right? So these are the listen fors, the things that are important to your firm. But live employee voice or employee listening feedback allows you to hear what's working and what's not, what's preventing success and performance, and what needs to be fixed. And I think that the big distinction here, when you turn it away from surveys and into what people want to talk about, is we start to hear what matters to them right now. That's the milk conversation. It's the conversation about the dirty dishes that we've seen, become interesting dialogue amongst people inside organizations. The things that get in the way of them being able to do the jobs are not all the things that are solving the organization's problems, but they are certainly slowing it down. Start small to earn trust. So rebuilding trust is about showing people that we care about their ideas, challenges, experiences, and their personal context over time, right? So that's the milk point, isn't it? Harvesting all the ideas. So so seeing ideas everywhere, like the countless opportunities. Using a product like Harkn to collect, to anonymized voice brings everyday life to bear, right? So we see all sorts of things, and it's not always articulated in a way that we would like to see it. It's not always articulated as an idea. It's sometimes it appears as a frustration or as a gripe, but in there are unmet needs. Deal with quick things quickly. Not everybody needs a change program. When I talk about that broken cycle of the survey world, I think the problem is that we are looking constantly for big change, and we boil down to 2 or 3 big things we're going to fix, and meanwhile all the gritty stuff is left behind. But they can be dealt with quickly, and then otherwise collate ideas, issues, and suggestions for further exploration and action as a group. And then the dialogue bit, right? So this is the frustration for most people and organizations when it comes to the slower cycle that we're used to working, is that we end up with a position we don't really understand the same subject that we've been asked about. I've been in a room with countless organizations where people will be trying to understand a particular question that they've asked in their survey, and you realize that 10 people have answered it with totally different things in mind, and that's where dialogue matters. So bringing people together, once you create your long list of ideas from harvesting all of the different interesting observations and comments about things getting in the way and things that you might do differently, harvesting those things and bringing them to the table where you might, for example, get people in a room together. You might do regular meetings. I mean, we would say, maintaining anonymity and asynchronicity is quite important if you want to get as many voices to the table as possible, but encourage dialogue. So obviously features like team rooms, posting questions on the wall. There's a whole bunch of different ways you might explore subjects with people, but it's the dialogue and getting the richness of understanding from as many people as possible that's going to enable us to say, okay, what are the things that we want to be tackling? Again, we can take the milk away, we can take the problems with the dishes away, but when we start to get to the other things stopping people from working, here we can start to explore it collectively. And then we start to move into forming action groups. Now you've been part of any of the previous Academy sessions, you'll have heard Wendy talk about the community networks and the champions groups that already exist inside your organization. Now, look, we're talking about similar stuff again, aren't we? But action groups, so people coming together. It could be your Harkn champions, it could easily be some other group, employee experience people, but with a short list of 2 or 3 priorities, start to get your teams together and make sure they are empowered to start to make some of those decisions themselves, right? So that they can develop out the candidate solutions and start to implement. And from there, testing and learning. So trying out short experiments, ongoing feedback and dialogue as change develops, test and learn, that sort of stuff. And testing, or tracking results, understanding the impact. So bringing as many voices to bear, studying and watching the impact of things as we're making changes. So looking for changes to things like GDR, or narrative on the wall, even studying just the impact of data patterns across affected populations against a control group, for example. Those things give us an opportunity to really understand what's working and what's not. And then the last piece here, of course, step 7, is closing that feedback loop, making sure that we're letting people know the things that have been changed. It's amazing for us, and I'm going to talk about this again in a minute, but it's amazing to us how many things we see don't get connected back to the employee feedback that generated it.